All right, advanced surfaces. This is where it starts to get fun. These do not exist in AutoCAD. They don't exist in SketchUp. These are all really kind of particular to Rhino, and you may learn to love them, or this might not float your boat. Doesn't matter. If it works for you, if you're excited about it, dive in. So the first one is loft. Loft is a command that creates a surface that passes through a series of curves. The one thing to know about this one is that it can matter the order that you select those curves. If you select the top, the bottom, and the middle, you may get a surface that goes down first and then loops back towards the middle. So here we've got three circles, and we're going to loft them. So I'm going to type loft, and it says select curve to loft. I'm going to type the bottom. I'm going to select the bottom, the middle, the top, and hit enter. It says drag scene point to adjust. You can just hit enter, and there you go. There's your loft. It gives you these options for like different ways it might loft. Loose means it doesn't necessarily pass through every curve directly. Tight means it does pass through every curve directly. Straight sections means no curve, so you're going to get like that kind of a shape instead. And uniform, I actually don't totally know what uniform means. Most of the time I use normal. Sometimes I use straight sections based on what I'm trying to produce. That's loft. It's really useful. I use it a lot. All right, create a fluid tower through a series of shapes. Go wild. All right, so let's just make some shapes inside of one another. You know, I think actually it would be good if they all line. So I'm going to draw a line through this rectangle here. I'm going to set camera, place target here so that I can rotate around where I actually want to go. Great. Now I'm going to draw a circle, which is in the middle of this line. Now I'm going to draw a polygon, which is a hexagon in the middle there. Maybe I'll make that one kind of bigger like that. Cool. What other shapes do we have? How about an ellipse? Select the ellipse also in the center, and it can look like that. All right, so now, I thought I just did this. So finicky sometimes. All right, there we go. Okay, so now I've got to give these things an order. So maybe I'll have the hexagon be on the bottom. Yeah, I can go in decreasing order of size. That makes sense to me. Move this guy up, and I'm gonna have that be on top. All right, getting there. Bear with me. Now I'm going to type loft. I'm going to select the hexagon, the square, the ellipse, and the circle, and hit enter. I'm gonna hit enter again. Whoa, that's interesting, isn't it? Isn't it funny how it does that? That was its best guess for how to loft that. So if I do it loose, I get sort of this like more loose wave. If I do tight, it's going to pass through everything exactly. Straight sections look like this. So this is how it understands like moving. It has to go around in a circle, I guess, to move between these different points. Uniform looks like that. Okay. All right, so that was loft. Sweep 1, if you remember the follow me tool from SketchUp, sweep 1 is a lot like that. So there's two sweep commands, sweep 1 and sweep 2. Sweep 1, more useful and easier. So here we've got a shape hanging out down here, and then this polyline that's standing up in the air over there. I'm going to type sweep 1. It's going to ask me for the rail. So the rail is like the path that you want the shape to follow. So I'm going to select the polyline. Now it says select sweep shapes. So don't hit enter. Once you select the rail, it asks you for the next shape. No enter in between. That can be kind of confusing. So when it says select sweep shapes, that's where I'm going to select this casing down here. And then I'm going to hit enter, drag scene point, don't need to worry about it. Hit enter again, hit OK. All right, there we go. Now we've got a casing that goes around a door, right? You can create your own. This can be as wild as you want. Let's see. Let's do something really frightening and jagged. This is very like Beetlejuice. Okay, sweep one. I'm going to select the rail, then I'm going to select the shape, and then I'm going to hit enter and enter. And freeform is what I always use. I'm not quite sure what road-like means. I'm going to say okay, there we go. So this is a door casing that could cause some pretty good harm. Oh wow, it got a little confused around the corners there. Sometimes Rhino does that. You just have to like try again, work with it, tweak it. It gets confused sometimes. Okay. Sweep 2 is basically, it can be one or two shapes on two rails. I'll show you what that means. So if I take sweep 2, I'm going to ask for the first rail, so I'll click on this squiggle line. Then it asks for the second rail, I'll click on this line. Then it asks for the shapes, so I'll select the circle on the bottom and the square on the top, and I'll hit enter, drag scene point to adjust, I'll hit enter again, and this is what you get, right? So it basically creates a surface following those two rails, connecting the first shape to the second shape. Patch. Patch is like a less precise way of making these surfaces, but it can be useful. I think you can use it a lot for like topography, that kind of thing. Basically, it creates a surface that flows through a variety of objects. And it can go through points and it can go through curves. I don't know if it can go through surfaces, but definitely points and curves. So what you'll do is you'll type patch, go ahead, enter, select the shape and the 3 points all together, hit enter, and then say okay, and you get this. So you can kind of see how this would be useful for topography, for a landscape. Ta-da! Pipe. Pipe is actually very useful. It seems kind of random, but it's really useful. It's sort of like a simplified version of a sweep 1 where the shape is always a circle. And if you are creating anything with like a metal leg or anything, any tubular shape, this one's a really good one. So let's try and copy these objects that I made here. Okay, so the first one is this sort of upright triangle. So what I did, and I'll do it over here to the side, was I drew a polyline that was just a triangle, hit enter, and then I rotated it up, so rotate 3D. I made this side the rotation axis. Then I hold down shift and click over in this direction and turn it up like that, right? Now I've got it selected, so you want to make sure that the shape is selected, or you'll enter the command and then select the shape. Type pipe. It's going to ask for a radius. So 1 inch is fine. Mine is, the default is 1, but if you type 0.5, you'll get 0.5, like a 0.5 inch radius. I can show you what that looks like. So I'll type 0.5, hit enter, end radius 0.5. You could have them be two different radiuses, in which case the tube would start at one width and end at a different one. I'll hit enter, and enter for none. And there it is. So that is pipe. It's quite simple. Here's a circle. So you can draw a circle, draw 2 lines crossing that circle, trim, select the circle as the cutting object, press enter, and then trim the segments on the sides. Mine's gonna be a little off center, that's okay. I'm gonna select all of these things. I'm gonna type pipe. I'm gonna change my radius back to 1 inch. And there we go. It didn't ask me for an end radius because there isn't really an end here, right? Okay, so that's pipe. For practice, let's add some hairpin legs to the coffee table here. Okay, so what's the best way to do this? I think if I make a polyline that is maybe 4 inches on each side, like that, then I can draw a line. I can take V for vertical. I can start it on this corner of my polyline, finish it on the underside of my table here, right? That is right, isn't it? It looks like it's going through the table. All right, that doesn't help me. Line, vertical. Where can I snap to? That's the midpoint. That's not helping me. Here we go. I see it. You see it? End/intersection. Great. All right. So now I've got to go to the right place. Cool. So that's the first one, and then I need the 2 other legs as well. That's the hard part. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to copy this shape. No, not copy. I'm going to move it. I'm going to move it up so that it's on the underside of the table. So I'm going to type move. Then I'm going to type V for vertical. I'm going to start at the bottom of this line and finish at the top of that line. So now I've got this sort of plate underneath the table up there. And now I can draw a line and I can snap to the bottom of the first line and then this outside corner here of that line, right? So this is the kind of like, sometimes you have to like plan a little bit. And if you plan well, then it's easy to model. But if you don't plan well, then it's not that easy to model. All right, so now I've got my sort of 3 rods that are going to constitute the hairpin leg. If I select all of them and type pipe, and let's see, what should the radius be? Probably 3/16 maybe? Yeah, 3/16. So 3/16, hit enter, and there's the pipe. Yep, there's my leg. And then you could take these and you could just, I mean, instead of going through that whole process again, you just move them around, rotate it like that, move it over here, rotate it like that. You get the picture. All right. So that is advanced surfaces. I'll meet you back for part 5, Boolean commands.